So several things very, very important. So we learn a bunch of different terms, population and sample. Those are very, very important. So population typically is about a much bigger sample size, as you can probably see, and sample is just a small subset of the population. Okay, those are very, very important. And we also talk about parameter and statistics. Parameter is for population and statistics. Okay, so someone's lawn is mowing and it's not my neighbor's lawn. Okay, so how do you remember it? P parameter for population. So there are two P there, right? And statistics for sample, two S there. So this is how you remember it. So you guys are gonna see this flow chart over and over again. And so you start from the population, you try to draw a sample, which is smaller sample. And then you try to get some statistics from the sample, which means, you know, the mean, the average, the standard deviation. And then from the sample statistic, you're gonna make inference about a population parameter. So you go this way, right? Okay, good. So some other things which are important is, okay, so that's gonna be this slide. We talk about how you can calculate the mean, the median, the variance, and the standard deviation. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. You know, feel free to start, answer the question, or maybe stop me if you have any question. So what is the relationship between variance and standard deviation? Do you remember what is the relationship between variance and standard deviation? If you do have standard deviation, how do you calculate variance?
Square root it?
Yes. Okay, so you guys see it. If you do have variance, you take the square root of that, you get standard deviation. If you have standard deviation, you square it, you can get variance. Okay, so those are the very, very important thing. The next important thing, which is the most important thing of this set of slides, to be honest, you know, this is the most important thing, is to figure out a Z-score. Okay, so there's a formula here, and you should definitely write this down on your note card, which you are allowed to take to the exam. So 5x8 note card, handwritten note card is permitted for the exams, you know, for both midterm and final. So this one should always be there. So Z-score formula, how do you calculate Z-score? So Z-score just tells you how far you are away from average. Okay, but whenever we measure distance, we are talking about how far or how close. This distance is not measured in absolute distance. No. It's measured in terms of a standard deviation. That's why you have to divide it by spread. Okay. Hold on a second. So I want to see whether, okay. So I'm going to write down here. Hopefully this is going to work. So Z-score, okay, another one I'm writing. Okay, so it's observation. Okay, OBS, observation minus mean. Okay, this is terrible. Okay, you know, okay, you know what? I desperately need an iPad. Okay, which I don't have. Okay, so divided by spread, and the measure for spread is gonna be the standard deviation, right? Okay, so those two, they are completely equivalent. So observation, if you do give me observation, for example, it could be a salary, it could be a height, you subtract the average salary or average height, divided by the standard deviation of the height or the salary, right? Okay, so you're able to find a Z-score. I'm gonna ask you a tricky question. You wanna think carefully, okay? So whenever we measure observation, it could be salary, that means it's gonna be measured in currency, it could be US dollars, so it could be Japanese yuan. Okay, so there's a unit to it. Does the mean have a unit? Does the mean have a unit? So can you measure the average salary using US dollars or maybe Japanese yuan? Does it have a unit? Is, you know, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, there's a unit. Great. Okay, how about standard deviation? Does standard deviation have a unit too? Can you measure standard deviation in terms of, say, US dollars or maybe like euros?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now you want to think carefully. How about Z-score? Does Z-score have a unit? Yes. Who wants to give it a try? This is a slightly challenging question. Just yes or no, you know. You have 50 chance of being right.
No.
Okay, Kenan says no. Why do you think it's no?
Because it's measured in terms of standard deviation.
You are very close. It's measured in terms of a number of standard deviation, which is number. It could be twice, it could be one. But you see, that means number, the times. It doesn't have a unit. I'm twice of your height. Okay, so I'm talking about a 2 here. Okay, so 2 doesn't have a unit. I double my weight. So that's gonna be doubled, right? It's 2. So it doesn't have a unit. Another way to check it, this is another way, you probably learn. You're gonna see this from time to time. I'm gonna just tell you some trick. Okay, so let's take a look. How you calculate Z-score? Observation is measured in currency. I'm gonna put a dollar sign here. Okay, minus mean, which is also measured in currency. So you can change the currency to kilograms or maybe pounds. Okay, and then the standard deviation we also talked about earlier on. It also has a unit, which is a dollar sign. Okay, now you can see the cancellation is going to take place because for the numerator, that's a dollar. So you're going to have a dollar sign here. You're going to divide by another dollar sign, right? They are going to cancel out completely. So that's why Z-score doesn't have a unit. Z-score represents exactly how many times. It could be an integer, it could be a fraction, so it could be 1.5, 1.25. So whenever we talk about Z-score, it's a unitless. It doesn't have a unit. Okay, so I'm going to ask you several other things. If, for example, let's see, I'm going to find something interesting. Okay, okay, so income. Okay, what is interesting? Let's see. Maybe, okay, maybe, let's see. Okay, this is awkward. Okay, so I went to do grocery shopping yesterday. I went to buy a bunch of apples. I really like Honeycrisp, but they are super expensive. So I weighed my apples, which has a unit, which is gonna be pounds. Okay, just say the observation, the bag of apples I pick up from the grocery store is having the average weight of any bag of apples. So I'm going to ask you, what is the Z-score corresponding to my bag of apples? What is the Z-score corresponding to my bag of apples? I'm going to repeat my question. Okay, so the bag of apples I picked from the grocery store is having the average weight of a bag of apples. So what is its corresponding Z-score? Okay, I'm going to give you several choices. Okay, so my Z-score is going to be +1. That means I'm 1 standard deviation above the average. Or maybe -2, that means I'm 2 standard deviation below the average. Or maybe half, that means I'm half a standard deviation above the average. Given the description which I just said, the bag of apples is exactly at the average weight. So what is the corresponding Z-score?
Would it be 0?
Yes, it's 0, right? Okay, do you get it? It's a 0 because you are right at the average. And that's why if you go over the slides.
So I had a question about your example.
Yes, yes.
So if you were doing a half Z-score, would that mean you're paying more than the average person? Is that kind of, I'm confused when you said a half.
Okay, it's just one of the choices I was giving to the students. So the choices are +1, -2, or maybe half.
Yeah, so what is like the 1 or the half? What's the difference between, like, how does it affect things? The half or the 1 or the -2?
Oh, okay. So if you are 1 standard deviation above the mean, so that means you are actually the average plus standard deviation, right? That means 1 standard deviation. If you're half standard deviation, that's gonna be average plus half multiplied by the standard deviation.
Gotcha. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no, feel free to stop me. Okay, so let's go back to the question. I'm going to clear the annotation here. Okay, hold on, clear. Great. So if you went through my slides on the very, almost towards the end of the first set of slides, it says there's a joke here. How do you remember Z-score being 0? Z-score being 0 means you are so mean. That means you are right on the average and she has no standard deviation. This is a joke I like to tell my students. So if you are so mean, that means you are right on the average, and then you have no standard deviation because your z-score is 0, right? I'm gonna write it down here. Okay. So if observation is equal to mean, the z-score is gonna be 0. Is this too small for everyone to see? Okay. So if observation is right at a mean, then the z-score is okay. So let's see. Okay, great. So I think this one actually summarized the first set of slides.